back in the car. Watch out. Ow. So it was actually in the car yesterday. I was listening to one of my all-time favorite manifesting law of assumption, law of attraction books, the audiobook version of it. And it inspired me to make this car video today. That book we've spoken about before is called Banned Money Secrets by Richard Dotts. Banned Money Secrets by Richard Dotts. Again, if you're familiar with this channel, you know Richard, and you know how much value he provides probably in terms of a lot of his advice. And if you're not familiar with this channel, there's a decent chance you've never heard of Richard. And one of the reasons I'm making this vid is to tell you, you probably want to know about Richard. Banned Money Secrets is probably the best money mindset book I've ever read. And I've read many. And I've done my best to integrate those ideas into my own life as best I can and to help others do it as well. But I would say Banned Money Secrets by Richard Dotts overall is just, I mean, this is such a mind-blowing book when it comes to money. I've read it many times, and I've listened to the audio now a couple times. I'm going to put a link above to an audiobook version of it. It will probably work. It might not work a long time if you're watching this video a year or two from now. But it's like, so the deal with Richard, as far as I know, I've never been able to contact him. I think Richard Dotts is a pseudonym. It's not his real name, I don't think. And I don't know what he looks like. It's so funny. There's like a picture on the internet of like, quote unquote, Richard Dotts, like just a random guy. I don't know. Maybe it really is him, but it's just so funny. Like there's this one image of supposedly Richard Dotts that's probably not actually Richard Dotts. It's so funny. But anyway, he's a writer. Richard, in my opinion, is by far the best modern LOA type of writer out there. And Banned Money Secrets, I think one reason it's not as well known as it should be is that it's only available as an ebook. And the audiobook version is like read by a robot very slowly. I recommend listening to the audiobook version at 1.5 speed so it sounds more normal. And like I said, it's only on Kindle, and a lot of Richard's best books are only available as ebooks or as robotically read audiobooks. And that just doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter. If you're at all serious about this stuff, you have to get past the robotic voice or the production values of some dude just talking in the car, or the fact that it's just a PDF or an ebook or whatever. And you gotta just take in the information that's good. And Banned Money Secrets is not just good, it's great. So yeah, I was listening to the audiobook version of Banned Money Secrets yesterday as I was driving to pick up my daughter. And Richard, this is near the end of the book. I think it's the chapter, it's like chapter 30 or somewhere around chapter 30. It's a pretty long book where he's talking about taking action and when to take action. And he said this, got this great part where he talks about taking action. And I've read this book many times. I've heard him say this before, but it really just resonated when I was hearing this robot talk about it yesterday. And he said, the action you take should just be the most logical thing in the world. It's like, be relaxed, be chill, mind your inner state. I mean, Richard is a master at talking about just minding your inner state to be a place where you feel calm, present, you're okay right now. and then just do the most logical thing. And this is a very undervalued point, because doing the most logical thing, a lot of people into these ideas, especially when they first get into them, are going to be like, what? The law of assumption has nothing to do with logic, or I'm supposed to be rational and just logically do the best thing to do right now? And the answer is absolutely effing yes, at least for most of us most of the time. Your rationality, your logic, your mind saying this is the best thing to do right now, when you feel relaxed and at ease, means it's probably the best thing to do right now. This is something that, Richard gives examples in the chapter, and me as well, I've just seen this constantly in my life. When I feel inwardly at ease more of the time, and I just let things flow, I just do what logically makes sense, that morning, that afternoon, that evening. And by doing that, avenues open up that I might not have been aware of if I was thinking hard about what I had to do, or if I was stressing out about what needed to be done next. In the chapter, Richard gives an example of he was never someone who liked reading magazines. And all of a sudden, it just seemed logical for him to start buying magazines and reading them. And it, if he had thought more about it, he would have been like, well, I don't like reading magazines. I think they're kind of a ripoff. He wouldn't have done it. But it's logically in the moment. He felt at ease. It felt aligned. He didn't overthink it. He started reading more magazines, buying magazines, and it led to all these wonderful positive outcomes, demonstrations, manifestations, whatever you want to call it, from him reading magazines. So he was being logical in the moment. This seems like the most logical thing in the world. I'm going to buy this magazine. He wasn't being logical in this, I have to think about everything and overthink everything, because then he would not have bought the magazines, right? When you don't know what to do, I would say, in my own life, I try to apply this. This video is obviously just as much for me as it is for you, as basically all my videos are. When you don't know what to do, relax as best you can. Understand that relaxing as best you can does not necessarily mean that you're going to be like, my life's perfect, I'm in the bliss state. It's more just like, okay, I'm here right now. I'm alive. Things are fine. I'm here right now. What should I do right now? What logically makes sense to do right now? Right? Logically for me, after I make this video, it makes sense for me to go inside, do a few things on the computer that I have to do, right? Maybe meditate a little bit. And then I have to go downtown. If we can live our life from that perspective more of the time, of just what do I logically need to do now? What's my focus for right now? And not worry about what we have to do later today, let alone what we have to do tomorrow or a week from now or a month from now, or what happens if we don't pay this or get this or attain this 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, if my life plan's worried. No, if we can just relax into the moment as best we can, which we can do in large part, as I always talk about. We did a group call last week. I'll link above to that, but there's so many group calls and seminars and videos already where I talk about this. If we can just be like, I'm here right now. I'm okay. I'm not being judgmental towards myself, overly judgmental. I'm allowing myself the grace of that, of I'm here, I'm okay. I'm not dead. I'm not about to die. What's the most logical thing I can do right now? And just what logically makes sense. This is how you become intuitive, which might seem like a paradox to most of you, but I would consider myself a very intuitive person because I'm pretty good at doing what makes sense to do, right? This has to be done right now. Let's do it. I get in trouble when I worry about, what do I have to do next week? What do I have to do in the future? Now, don't get me wrong. It's good to think about that sometimes, but it helps a lot more if we're thinking about those long-term things from more of a relaxed viewpoint than just stressing about them. In the same way, it helps all of us tremendously, I think, to be relaxed and do the next right thing, the next best thing. Just do the next right thing. That's how we become better people, quote unquote, better people. You want to integrate these law of attraction ideas, these law of assumption ideas better in your life. Just be a good person. Relax, be a good person, and just do the next thing you have to do. What makes sense to do next, right? I don't want to overuse this term logic, right? Like, because I don't want us to be overly logical, right? Implementing this stuff. It's more like, what's the next right thing to do? What makes sense to do right now? You don't have to worry about later today. You don't have to worry about tomorrow. To paraphrase Jesus, tomorrow's troubles are for tomorrow. To also paraphrase Jesus, my peace is always with you. And what we, want to do is just recognize that more. My peace is always with you. My peace is not the peace of the world. It's a different peace, and it's always with you. Whoa. Whoa. Car video, man. If this is one of your first videos with me, welcome. This is not your normal manifestation or spirituality advice. I'm watching an oil truck drive by. If you want a brief consultation to see how I can help you, the contact information is below. If you want coaching or to read some of my books, the information on that is below in the description. And yeah, if you want to, you can just give yourself more grace, more peace, and just do the next logical thing that makes sense to do. Hope this helped.